Good Thursday, everyone, and welcome to this edition of Conversation Daily News. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again. Well, we made it over the hump, and we're in the home stretch toward the weekend. We, of course, have your news headlines coming up on this Thursday. We have the Truth of the Day with Mary Ellen Ciganovich in today's Entertainment Spotlight. You've been part of my conversation with child advocate Roo Powell, discussing the new series, Undercover Underage, premiering on Investigation Discovery today. Enjoy today's program. For Conversation Daily News, I'm Cyrus Webb with their Thursday headlines. In international news, rebels ask Russia for military help in eastern Ukraine. The Kremlin said rebel leaders in eastern Ukraine asked Russia for military assistance on Wednesday to help fend off Ukrainian aggression, while Ukraine declared a nationwide state of emergency amid growing fears of an all-out invasion by Russian troops. The announcement from Moscow immediately fueled fears that the rebel request amounted to a pretext for war, a tactic that the West has warned about for weeks. Fears of an imminent Russian offensive against its neighbor soared after President Vladimir Putin received authorization to use military force outside his country, and the West responded with sanctions. The Kremlin spokesman said the rebel chiefs wrote to Putin pleading with him to intervene after Ukrainian shelling caused civilian deaths and crippled vital infrastructure. The appeal comes after Putin recognized the independence of Russia-backed rebel regions in eastern Ukraine and signed friendship treaties with them. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki said the separatist request for Russian help was an example of the sort of false flag operation that the U.S. and its allies have expected Moscow to use as a pretext for war. So we'll continue to call out what we see as false flag operations or efforts to spread misinformation about what the actual status is on the ground, she said. In Ukraine, lawmakers approved President Zelensky's decree that imposes the measure for 30 days starting today. The state of emergency allows authorities to impose curfews and restrictions on movement, block rallies, and ban political parties and organizations in the interest of national security and public order. The action reflected the increasing concern by Ukrainian authorities after weeks of trying to project calm. The foreign minister advised against travel to Russia and recommended any Ukrainians there to leave immediately, saying Moscow's aggression could lead to a significant reduction in consular services. Ukrainian authorities have repeatedly voiced concern that pro-Russian groups inside the country could try to destabilize it, including a pro-Moscow political party represented in parliament. The introduction of the state of emergency follows Putin's moves on Monday to recognize the independence of rebel regions in eastern Ukraine, where a nearly 8-year conflict has killed over 14,000 people. Putin has sanctioned the deployment of Russian troops there to maintain peace. Russia on Wednesday evacuated its embassy in Kyiv as hopes for a diplomatic way out of a new, potentially devastating war in Europe waned. In national news, High Court wades into clash over Trump-era immigration rule. The Supreme Court waded into a political clash Wednesday between the Biden administration and Republican-led states seeking to defend a signature Trump-era immigration rule that the new administration has abandoned. Conservative and liberal Supreme Court justices acknowledged during arguments at the High Court that when a new administration comes in, it can change policy. That's what the Biden administration did with the Trump-era public charge rule that denied green cards to immigrants who use food stamps or other public benefits. The question for the court is not the legality of the now-defunct Trump-era rule, just whether a group of states, led by Arizona, should be able to pick up the legal fight over it. In more national news, a jury has begun deliberating at the federal trial of 3 fired Minneapolis police officers charged with violating George Floyd's civil rights when he was pinned to the ground for 9.5 minutes as fellow officer Derek Chauvin pressed his knee into his neck. The 3 officers are charged with depriving Floyd of his right to medical care. 2 of the officers are also charged with failing to intervene to stop Chauvin during the May 25, 2020 killing that was captured on bystander video that triggered protests worldwide and a re-examination of racism and policing. Prosecutors told jurors during closing arguments that the 3 officers chose to do nothing as Chauvin squeezed the life out of the 46-year-old man. Defense attorneys countered that the officers were too inexperienced, weren't trained properly, and did not willfully violate Floyd's rights. In entertainment news, NBC's Scores Are In record low Olympics ratings. The final scores are in, and NBC is no doubt happy to put the Beijing Winter Olympics in the rearview mirror. The games reached an average combined audience of 11 million people in prime time on NBC, the USA Network, and Peacock streaming service, the network said. That's the lowest ever American audience for any Olympics and down 42% from the Winter Games in South Korea in 2018. And finally, in business news, Wall Street losses mount amid simmering Ukraine crisis. Wall Street losses mounted on Wednesday. The S&P 500 fell 1.8% to an 8-month low, deepening the benchmark index correction, or a loss of 10% from its recent peak. More than 85% of stocks in the S&P 500 fell, with technology companies weighing down the index most. Cyrus Webb, Conversations Daily News. It's on time for the Truth of the Day with Mary Ellen Ciganovich. Mary Ellen, take it away.
Hi, this is Mary Ellen with your Truth of the Day. Consider all your possibilities. Do you want to see new places or meet new people? Then consider all your possibilities. Take some time every day to consciously embrace new ideas as you put forth positive energy to attract new opportunities. Make sure, as an opportunity comes your way, that you take advantage of it, even if it is something minor. As you act on your opportunities, you are sending a message to God, the universe, that you are ready to experience success. God reciprocates by sending you new and better opportunities. This creates an ongoing cycle of successes that will transform your life. When you make time to explore all your possibilities for growth, it begins a new phase of expansion. Today, allow your mind to roam freely as you invite new ideas into your consciousness. And as always, enjoy the day.
We have part of my conversation coming up with child advocate Roo Powell in today's Entertainment Spotlight. Stay with us. You're listening to Conversation Daily News. For Conversation Daily News, I'm Cyrus Webb with Entertainment Spotlight. Roo Powell, child advocate, founder of SOSA, and the star of the new docu-series on Investigation Discovery, Undercover Underage, joined me on Conversations Live, the radio show, to talk about the work that she's doing to protect children online. Here's a bit of our conversation. First of all, thank you so much for the great work that you've been able to do. What has it been like for you to have SOSA profiled in a docu-series like this?
You know, it's actually been great because while it's nice to work and be a part of this and be a part of this in a docuseries, really our overarching goal is to help end online sex abuse and exploitation. And I think the biggest thing that's going to help that is awareness, widespread awareness. And I think that's what this docuseries will do.
Roo, I could not agree more. In the work that you've been able to do that's now profiled in Undercover Underage, what has that been like for you to see the prevalence of this, and also, of course, what individuals like you are doing to help to end it?
Yeah, it's the prevalence of online sex abuse. I think people can't really wrap their heads around it because we did not grow up with smartphones in our hands. This is relatively new, right? Our parents dealt with different concerns. They were only concerned about the people that were in our immediate lives, right? So the people that were in close proximity to us. And with the advent of the smartphones, we recognize that a child doesn't have to be in the same room or state, does not have to be in close proximity to a predator in order to be abused. So this is, a tough topic, but it's one that is really important to talk about because I think, as you said, people just aren't aware about the ubiquity of this. So that's really the goal, is to share that so people can help prevent it.
Cyrus Webb, Conversations Daily News. We thank you all for tuning in to this edition of Conversations Daily News. We'll have to get on tomorrow to wrap up this week. Until then, I'm your host, Cyrus Webb, saying as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Thank you all for choosing Conversation Daily News today. Let's make today amazing. Take care.